We are just, I guess, moments away from a alleged war criminal. I mean, I'm trying to be precise here. I think he's a war criminal. I think he's a war criminal.
Yeah.
But speaking in front of Congress, do we have a final tally of how many Democrats are going to be? We know that one Republican, Massey, is going to be boycotting Netanyahu today. Where are we at with the Democrats? Do we know?
Let me just check.
Last count was 86. Here is clip number 8. This is, or I should say, clip number 9. This is Illinois Representative Delia Ramirez yesterday speaking on the House floor about the idea that Netanyahu would be addressing Congress.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to express my outrage on the eve of Prime Minister Netanyahu's joint address. His address is a slap in the face to the thousands and thousands of Americans who have been demanding a ceasefire. The people of conscience opposed to U.S.-supplied bombs killing women and children, and the 12 U.S. government officials who have resigned protesting the national security and moral crisis our policies are creating. We cannot work towards peace while giving a war criminal the floor, or exert moral authority while supporting the killing of children and civilians, nor defend national interests while eroding our relationships across the world. We must listen to the American people and our officials and our diplomats like Major Harrison Mann, who will be standing with me tomorrow to demand the administration and our leadership change course. I hear them. What they say is not one more bomb, not one more dollar, not one more excuse for Netanyahu's atrocities. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Perfect.
10 out of 10.
I think Representative Ramirez was one of the earlier, first dozen or 2 dozen Democrats in the House, along with the squad and others, who called for a ceasefire, right? If I'm not mistaken. So that's good. And also, this is why the unions are flexing their power here, and they should. The UAW, SEIU, United Electrical Workers, Postal Workers Union, the National Education Association, and more all signed a letter yesterday saying Biden needs to stop sending military aid to Israel. And there are going to be some Democrats that need to respond to that pressure, even if they feel reticent to do so. And I'm hoping that pressure, goes to the top of the ticket. And I mean, Harris, who's also not going to attend.
Those unions immediately endorsed Harris, and I would just say it would be doing them a pretty big disservice if Harris turned around and repaid their rush to endorse her with either Shapiro or a Kelly on these matters that they're widely opposed to the current administration on. So she should absolutely not rain on her current parade by making such an awful decision for the bad reasons that would be obvious to everybody.
Yeah, I think we'll have a better sense within a week or two as to what the implications of her now being the presidential nominee will have on American policy going forward. Although I wouldn't put it past Joe Biden to sort of well, this is the wheel you're not getting a hold of this. You can sit in the front seat, but you're not touching the wheel.
You can cry Zionism from my cold, dead hands.
Here is Palestinian journalist Rula Jibril. She is speaking with Mehdi Hassan on Zeteo yesterday, basically pointing out the difficulty that Harris may have running as a prosecutor in her attempts to prosecute the campaign against Donald Trump, if she's sort of turning a blind eye to the criminal enterprise that we are funding in terms of what Israel is doing in genociding the Palestinian people.
She's not going to be sitting next to him and applauding, which is a big deal and a pivot from others but it's a low bar.
Yes.
Kamala Harris, and I've been actually trying to reach out to her team for a long time, since May last year, trying to explain that we need to pivot from this unconditional support, which is in defiance, in violation of America's Leahy law and international law. She is running on the fact of being prosecutor, of an official of law and order, of the women who stand for legality. You cannot stand for legality and give a pass to a war criminal. You cannot claim that you're defending international humanitarian law and rule-based international order, and then ignore what Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, and Smotrich, the crimes they are committing, and stand accused of committing before the highest courts in the world, the ICC and the ICJ. One of the two things. You cannot be saying that, Israel has the exception and exceptionalize Israel, and then attack Trump and say, well, he doesn't believe in international legality. Well, either you share his values and his talking points about Israel legality and exceptionalism, or you don't. And if you want to win voters, progressive young voters, activists, you have to pivot from Biden failed policy. And I am sorry to say it, I think Netanyahu meddled way too much in American policy. The Obama nuclear deal, the Iraq war, which was a catastrophe for America. And again, he is pro-Trump and pro-Putin, as we saw in billboards all across Israel during the election campaign. If you don't want to be on that side, you have to come out very clearly, not pro-Palestinian or advocating for Palestinian, advocating for international law and international legality. That's what will make a huge difference.
I love that idea. I hope that she takes it. It seems like kind of a layup, especially because Michigan needs to be one. Pennsylvania also has a large Muslim population as well. And it's not just, of course, Muslim or Arab people or Palestinians. It's young people. It's all the young people that want. That's part of what is energizing this excitement. Is that Biden was considered, as a willing participant in the genocide in Gaza.
Yeah.
And like when she mentions the Iran nuclear deal, that's where people do have hope, right? Needs to see action. But the fact that she has one of the biggest proponents of the Iran nuclear deal as her national security advisor as vice president, and there are reports that she may get rid of the West exec ghouls like Blinken and Sullivan, who
lock them up.
McGurk.
McGurk
is the guy.
McGurk is the guy. But
I wouldn't mind seeing that guy in the stockades. Do we still have the
neither.
stockades in the back of the White House?
Can bring that back.
But she does need to change course because, Chris Van Hollen, I heard him this morning talk about his decision not to go to Netanyahu's address, which I applaud. But one, he repeats the two-state solution refrain, which is a fantasy. The Knesset just voted overwhelmingly in Israel to say that we do not recognize a Palestinian state. They formalized what has been operational since 1967, which is that this entire land from the river to the sea is ours. And we'll say a two-state solution to the liberals in America as a way to buy time and take more land. I'm not expecting many Democrats to change their refrain on that very front, but they need to. What Van Hollen said, I lost my train of thought. He had something else that he said there that I took objection to. Oh yes, exactly. He said, well, part of it was pursuing the Abraham Accords. That's what Chris Van Hollen said. No,
They're insane.
No, like McGurk being someone that came over from Trump to Biden, Harris needs to make it clear she's going to break that chain because pursuing normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia in exchange to giving like defense promises and potentially nuclear capabilities to Saudi Arabia just to prop up Israel is insanity, and also is what contributed to the Hamas attack on October 7th because they were entirely boxed out of the equation. So those are some of the things that she needs to change substantively if she is to become president and when she is president, but also just like make it clear in the rhetoric too that you're going to shift things.
That's the tough thing, because I think the average Democrat is better on Biden, but I think the moment calls for something more than the average Democrat, frankly, and it calls for a special courage to confront Israel. And it's nice to say like we have all these symbolic things that we're moving forward on. But can this campaign confront the symbolic fact that Emma just pointed to, which is that the Knesset themselves said, yeah, we're not doing that two-state solution stuff? Or are we going to have to ignore that because it's easier to campaign if we act like that's not the case?